I can already see I'm a rule in this kingdom. I think if I can control how they feel, I can control how they think. If I can whoop these all-stars, doesn't that mean I'm the best ever? What's up, guys? So now we're going to break down each player's performance, episode 11, and it was a doozy. One of the best episodes so far. So we're going to get into it. We're going to start with EOE. EOE, we have Parvati and Natalie looking for, not really looking any longer. Nowadays, they just place bottles on the beach and letters in bottles and idols under rocks right at the tree. It's just not that hard these days to find idols without clues, and everybody looks for some reason. But yeah, so now we have Parvati and Natalie finding something new. It's new to the game. We see all these coin flip things. It's new. We see the extortion. Now, all of a sudden, you can extort a player, which Tony says is illegal. Maybe not in Fiji, but it's illegal in the real world. But we'll get into that later, of course. It's funny how we constantly have something new coming into the game. I used to say it's not Survivor. It is Survivor. Survivor is whatever they put into the game. It is new. They have fire tokens. They have advantages. All sorts of different types of advantages. It's the new Survivor, and I kind of like it. I like the fact that there's so many options, and you can save yourself so many different ways. It's frustrating when we see people actually have tons, like we've seen Parvati, tons of tools to work with and do nothing with it. That's what it's for. That's what they have it there for. And I think we're going to start seeing more and more survivors or future survivors start using these tools to work with. We haven't seen much with the fire tokens when it comes to, I'll save you if you give me this, other than Parvati and Wendell, but it just didn't pan out. Nothing happened with that. So we have Natalie finding it, and it's interesting that we see Parvati immediately inserting herself into part of the ones that find it. Well, Natalie finds it, and Parvati's like, "Oh, we need to do this." She did help lure people away from the campsite to get the clue, but if she would have came to me, I would have been like, I have a mouse in my pocket? Because I found it. But I don't know what happened with that. Did she give her some tokens, helping her, or did she keep the tokens? Because Natalie found it. Natalie gets the credit for me for finding it. It was right there by their feet. Anybody would have found it, but she stumbled upon it. And it was the great extortion. You can extort somebody. You can make them give you something by bribing them or telling them, I'm going to give you, instead of 3, you got to give me 6. Or else I'm going to do this to you. That's what extortion is. Now we have Adam looking at the EOE flag. I don't know if you guys seen this. They were talking about giving up somewhat and how hard it was at EOE while Adam was looking at the flag. Then they show the flag like he's about to quit. And that's the first thing I thought was like, wait a second. He's not going to quit, is he? What's going on? There's no way. Please tell me somebody else doesn't quit this game. Please. That's what I was thinking. But you know what he was doing? He was looking for an idol. That's what he was doing. Adam was looking for an idol because that's how Adam plays. That's what he's doing. He hasn't given up. So we don't see much of EOE, and I'm happy we didn't see that much. We seen what was necessary because finally we get to see some of the game. Finally we get to see some action. And you see how good it is when we do? We have a great episode. Immediately we see what's going down with Michele. I'm going to put a picture right here to show you. that, yes, I think she's very confused. We were confused on when we were like, oh, is she a secret agent? What's going on? Is she working with Nick? She must be, oh, yeah, she has to be working with Nick. None of that's the case. I think that she is just rolling with the punches. She's throwing her vote out wherever she must. And she's just trying to stay alive at this point. But I don't think she's doing anything too notable. Like they keep saying, their resume. She's not really putting together a great resume. At this point, I think she's dying a little bit when it comes to gameplay. And she's staying alive. And that's all she can do. But you can notice things by pictures that I just showed. You see right there that she's super confused. She doesn't know what's going on. I notice little things that people say and do in that game that shows me and us, the viewers, what's really going on. When you see Parvati at EOE saying, I'm finally doing something, she knows it. She realizes that she ain't doing anything. When you see Michele doing that, it's like she knows it. So I look for little things like that, little movements. Okay, now we have Denise. This is going to be a real quick one. Denise the Queen Slayer. Everybody loved her when she made that big move, that half move that worked. Half of it worked, half of it didn't work. You guys were saying, well, how come she isn't getting the Russell Crown? She isn't because half of it worked. And I needed more from Denise. We're not seeing it at this point. We do see Denise think that she's a double agent. And she thinks she's a double agent with one person, with Jeremy. What she's doing is she's just deciding not to vote with Jeremy, probably because he tried to vote her out at one point in the game. So she's like, oh, I feel like a double agent. No, you're not a double agent. You're really not doing that much. All you're doing is flipping on one person, not a team, not a group of people. And she's just going to the majority. She thinks is the majority, and she thinks that's what's going to save her game. We're seeing a lot of that these days, that people move to the majority. They don't really want to play too hard. They just want to move to where the most of the votes are. They don't want to make that big move, except somebody we're about to talk about after Kim. Kim, you could tell that she's a good player. You could tell that she knows what's going on. She can sense what's going on, but she started playing too late. If Kim would have started playing way in the game later, when she wasn't, we all seen she wasn't, she sided with Tony and Sandra. She was in their alliance. They had so much to work with, Kim, Denise, and Jeremy. They had so many tools to work with, and she didn't at that point in time. So that came and stabbed her in the back, I think. Because now she's trying to get rid of Nick. It didn't work for her. She's trying to get rid of Sophie. It didn't, with an idol. It didn't work for her. She's trying to get rid of Jeremy. Now, if you don't start working in the game when you have to start working in the game, then you're dead. It's super hard if you don't take control of those advantages when you can. And I think that Kim did not. I think she's in trouble now because when you let your team just fall apart like Jeremy does, and like Kim is doing, then it's harder to play. So I think that Kim, you can see she's an aware player, but she started playing too late. That's the bottom line, and we're seeing it. None of her moves are working. She's not in control of anything, and it's frustrating for her, and you can tell. The Russell Crown goes to none other than Tony again. This is the third week in a row, and this time giving the Russell Crown to Tony is the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. Tony is playing a super amazing game. And the way he laid low was amazing to me as well. Tony finding an idol without a clue. We see Tony winning the challenge, which he had to even fight to play in, because he had the extortion thing that he thought was great at first. Tony runs so much, it's crazy. He's running everywhere. He runs to the beach and slides down. He's hilarious talking about it, that the price of milk just went up, and it's illegal to extort anybody. This is illegal. You can't do this. Well, you can in the world of Survivor, baby. That's what Survivor's all about. Lie, cheating, and stealing, and getting to the end, and you can be whoever you want to be in the world of Survivor, and that's the great thing about it. Now, he did all this to get there. Then all of a sudden, he sees that his main alliance, Sarah, is getting too close to Sophie. Now, I did this with Danielle and Parvati. It is a great move, but very simple. What he's doing is he's trying to pull Sarah closer to him, trying to put her right back on his back, because what's happening is those two can just start discussing, okay, when we're going to get rid of Tony, when we're going to do that, when we're going to make that big move. And by doing that, it confuses Sarah, and it makes Sarah, her game, it messes with her game big time, to where she's so confused. We'll talk about Sarah right now. She's so confused that she has to switch up her whole plan. You see her in the secret scene saying, "You just messed up my whole game. That's it." Now, that's what happens in their mind. It shouldn't mess up their whole game. They should just move on and move forward and make a new game. But when she says that, then all her option is to stay with Tony. If she thinks her game is just floored, all she can really do is stay with Tony, jump back on his back, and hope for the best. I think that was an amazing move. Not the best move of the episode. I think it was an amazing move, getting rid of Sophie to make Sarah stay in line. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how she stays in line next episode. It's going to be interesting to see if I'm right. I don't think he's going to get rid of her, because not at this point, it becomes a mute move if he gets rid of her. Because he did it so he can keep her, right? So he can control her vote. If you can control the way they feel, you can control the way they think. And that's what he's doing. Tony's best move of the episode is to get people, 3 people. He got Ben, he got Nick, and Jeremy to give him fire tokens. He got 2 different sides of the alliance to give him something extremely valuable in that game. It's almost like JT giving me the idol, but he got 3 of them. You get Nick, which I think that Tony and Nick, we'll talk about that in a little bit too. I think they have something that we're not seeing in the edit, simply because, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Nick now, simply because we see Nick go and look for the idol. Why isn't anybody going to look for the idol? You know the idol's going to get replayed. You know Tony's going to go look, and you're sitting there sleeping, and you're tired. You know, we see Nick go and look for it early in the morning. We see Tony. We see them meeting up, and Nick never tells anybody, oh, Tony went looking for an idol. I think those two have the secret alliance. I think those two have something that we haven't seen, that Nick trusts Tony so much that he changes his vote. He changes his vote on his own alliance to get rid of one of the strongest people in the game, Sophie. That's another reason Tony gets rid of Sophie, is because she's the glue that holds the team together. Everything is about to go haywire, and Tony is sitting pretty. Some of y'all may think, oh, Tony's in trouble because he did all this. Yes, you're always in trouble in that game, but now he's trying to control the game. Now he's trying to drive. He's in the driver's seat, and he's taking control of that wheel. And he has an idol in his pocket. And he's starting to win individual immunity. Maybe he'll make a run. Never know. So, yeah, that's with Nick. I think that Nick and Tony has something together, because you don't just switch your vote like that, just randomly. So that's my take on Nick. All right, let's talk about Jeremy. Now, Jeremy, boy, Jeremy's he goes with the win for sure. He does whatever he has to do to stay alive in the game, by himself almost. You can do that, and you can make it 4 in the game. But Can you win the game? Can you get all the way to the end by not being part of the driving process, by not being in control of anything? Now, Jeremy was in trouble, and Tony saved him. Will Jeremy be loyal to Tony now? I think so. I think especially the next vote. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Jeremy reacts and how Sarah reacts. Now, they should all get together. Everybody should all get together and say, let's get rid of Tony. He's winning this game. That should be the next thing that they do. He has that idol. He has chances to win. I seriously think Tony can make a run at individual immunity. He's doing well. He's doing exceptionally well. And with Sarah, I've been saying she wasn't playing that great, guys. I'm not seeing it. And we see her alliance falling apart now because Cops R Us has taken it apart. I'm not seeing her play that amazing of a game. I'm not seeing it. I'm just not. So there's not much to talk about other than what Tony's doing to her, and we already talked about that. Sophie was playing a good game. She was a solid pillar to that game. And I think that's what Tony's seen. Tony's seen that. Tony's like, this girl's playing a solid game. She's in an alliance with my number one alliance, so I got to get rid of her. She goes home with an idol in her pocket. Did she make the right move by not playing the idol? She didn't make the right move because she went home. But, man, there's points in time in that game where you have to make a decision. And I think that she obviously figured she needed it further in the game. She thought she was safe. It was a shock to everybody not involved that they changed their vote and got rid of Sophie. I think that it was the kind of move that you needed to take control of the game. Now she's at EOE with an idol. Does she get to play that idol? Does she get to keep that idol? I think she does. If she goes back into the game from EOE, I think Sophie will have an idol. Now, the problem is everybody knows. She was so frustrated that she said it out loud that she just went home with an idol in her pocket. Now, if she gets back in the game, everybody knows she has an idol. And she let her emotions get the best of her. Of course, she should have played the idol. We all see that now. But was it a good, bold move by not playing it? There's times in that game that you have to make the right move at the right time. That's what makes the game so difficult. She wasn't sure. She didn't hear anything. It was so secret. Nick was sure he was going to do it, so that's why I think those two have something going on. Then we see Jeremy contemplating on the matter and saying, I don't know if we should do this. I don't know if I should do this. But Tony convinced him that, yes, his alliance is flipped on him. It's easy to see. Everybody's flipping on it's that's what happens now. So as he's constantly flipping, he's like, they're probably flipping too. I voted for Denise anyway. She's probably about to flip and vote for me. I don't think it was that hard of a decision, but we see him contemplating on making that decision. But he did. Now we have Ben. Ben, to me, is playing the worst game out there so far. He's super aggressive with everyone. It's like he doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to play the game of Survivor. I don't want to play no more. I say this happens all the time. People check out of that game. He reminds me of Jason from season 19. Y'all remember him? He checked out. He wasn't ready to play anymore. He didn't want to play. It was just like, all right, whatever, man. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. I don't want to discuss this. We're just going to vote this way. Straight line. We're going to vote Jeremy. That's it. Well, that's what happens when you think you're just going to go in a straight line and vote just the simple way so I don't have to discuss it in my head. Then that person doesn't go home. And now you're hanging on a string because you don't want to play the game and you're arguing with everybody. If it was me, I'm taking Ben to the end. Ben's not winning this game. When do we start hearing him say, I have to start thinking about who I can beat at the end? We haven't heard him say that yet. I think that strategy's coming. I think that Tony is thinking it because that was his competition. He gets rid of Sophie. That's his competition. And in the meantime, he puts Sarah back on his shoulders. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you haven't hit that notification button, hit it so that you can be notified when these things drop. Comment below and tell me who you think is playing the best and who you think is playing the worst. And I appreciate you guys. That's it. Keep hope alive.